To say the date. It happens to be on the screen right now. There's my mother. Hello, Nusha Weiner. Wave to everybody. And here's our star of the program this morning, Greta Zukerman.
Hi.
Good morning. Here we are in the Pines Hotel.
Yeah, good morning.
Pine Hotel at 11:24 a.m. on December 26, 1993. So, today we're going to do a little discussion and a remembrance of events of long ago. So we will have them forever after. And I'm going to ask some questions, and I'd like you to answer them as specifically as you can and to the best of your knowledge and as well as your memory can recall. So to begin with, I would like you to tell me who you are, when you were born, to whom, who your parents were and your siblings, and where it was that you grew up.
Well, I will begin to tell me that I'm your grandmother. My name is Greta Zukerman. My maiden name was Greta Pons. And I had father and mother, and my brother, he was 5 and 2 children, but they were taken to Auschwitz too, and they never came back.
Tell us a little bit about how many
Yes.
children your father had. I mean, how many brothers and sisters
My
he had?
father was in a family of 5 children, 2 boys and 3 girls.
What were their names? And I want you to, you don't have to,
My father's name was Moses, and his brother was Joseph. Then we had his sister was Blanca, the oldest one, and then Esther, and Jetty.
and how did you fit in this?
Who I fit in?
Yes, you were, what?
Well, I was a grandchild. My brother was the oldest grandchild.
Your brother was the oldest.
Silent was his
Did the
name.
others have children?
Esther didn't have children, and Branka didn't have children, but Esther married a widower who had 2 children.
So can you tell me
Bella and Lida.
Can you tell me what date you were born?
Oh, sure. I was born in December 31st, 1913,
1930. And where did you live? Where were you?
in The Hague,
On what street?
Bezenstraat 6.
Basinstraat.
Yeah, Basin Street 6. But my grandfather used to live there when my father got married. My grandfather moved out,
And where did he
my
live?
father moved in.
And don't you have a picture in your living room of the house where your grandfather lived in?
Yeah, that was my grandfather. It was painted for him.
Okay, so tell me where it was that you lived, how big your house was.
As a child, you mean? Well, it was a whole house, and it was a dining room with the kitchen downstairs. Upstairs were the bedrooms, and there were 2 extra floors. And I slept on the last floor, and we had a maid in live-in maid.
You had a live-in maid.
And
So what was
I
it that
shared a room with her.
what did your father do?
Oh, he was
what?
in business. But his grandfather was in, and then we took his father. My grandfather was in. My father picked it up in old clothes, selling and transporting it to countries in Asia or Africa.
So he was in textile,
Import,
export. How long was he in this business?
Oh, I don't remember how long, but my father was in business till the Hitlers came. And then
Did you consider yourself well off?
Oh yeah, we were middle, yeah, we
Middle
were very
class?
well off.
Where
They owned their own homes.
Where did you go to school?
Oh, regular school.
Regular school meaning
It's state school.
State school.
Nothing private.
nothing private.
You didn't go to Jewish school?
Oh yeah, we had Jewish school, but it was not with the regular schools. It was after the regular schools. They had schools from 4 to 6 or from 6 to 8 at night. And on Sundays they had schools
So
from 9 till 1 o'clock.
so you had regular school all day, and then at 4 to 6.
All day. It started in the morning at 9 o'clock till 12, and then from 2 to 4 again.
And then you had Hebrew school from 4 to 6.
After the regular schools, because it was the schools who did that.
Was it every day?
Well, I think so, but some people had, like I had, I think, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and the other ones had Monday and Wednesday.
And Sundays also.
And Sundays also.
And so you made 3 times a week in Hebrew school.
Yeah.
What did you study in Hebrew school?
Kroges and Torah, not the language.
Not the language.
No language. In those days.
What languages did you speak? Did you learn how to
The
speak?
Dutch.
You learned Dutch, and what else did you learn in school?
In school, well, in school I had, when I got, after the regular school, we came in the higher schools, French, German, and English.
French, German, and English.
But we started out with French and German, and English was in the 2nd grade. from the other schools because it was the easiest language.
Uh-huh.
No,
Okay,
And it
I
was.
want to ask. I want to ask a little bit about your Jewish life in your home. Did you celebrate holidays?
Always. Oh, sure. That is a tradition.
Did you build a sukkah?
We didn't. I think my grandfather did.
Your grandfather built a sukkah. Did you go to synagogue on Shabbat?
No, so once in a while, but the holidays we did. And the women, and we weren't sure that it was the men were downstairs and the women had opened upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother there was a youth corps for the boys, so, and he was in the choir too.
He was in the choir.
Yeah,
Your brother.
that was but it was one kind of religion, Jewish religion, and that was it. No liberal or.
It was just Orthodox Jewish religion.
Yeah.
All right. So you went to synagogue. Did you go to synagogue on the high holidays?
Well, not too often, but I did.
The boys always went though.
Yeah, no, but the women had sitting upstairs, but
Uh-huh.
we went to holidays, but I didn't go every Saturday. I don't even remember.
And your house was kosher?
Oh, sure.
Okay, I'd like to ask, how much interaction did you have with your non-Jewish neighbors and
When the neighborhood where I live was really a Jewish neighborhood.
was Jewish neighborhood? So your state school was mostly Jews in the school?
No,
No?
there was no special schools for the Jews, so it was combined. And if you had to go, Shabbos was early, they let us go out at 3 o'clock instead of 4.
They let you go out
Oh,
early?
sure.
Okay,
Holland was terrific.
was terrific. So
Yeah.
how many non-Jewish friends did you have?
Well, in school I
In
had them.
school?
In school.
And did you see them after school?
Well, we had, no, when you live in the neighborhood, you have Jewish friends in the neighborhood. I had Jewish friends in the neighborhood. But we knew the other ones too, but actually,
Okay, so you had Jewish friends and non-Jewish friends. I'd like to get a sense of how much a part of you were in the general community.
well, I had the Jewish friends, and I knew the non-Jewish friends, but I don't even remember what we did. I don't know. And later, usually you get along, when you come in your teenagers, not all Jewish friends.
Why was that so?
No, it was customers. I don't know.
It was
The way it was.
you didn't have friends
Because you
from.
lived in the Jewish community, you know. But later it changed because then they took. If I can tell you about when the 40s when Hitler.
Well, I'd
came,
like to
you
stay
don't
away
go
from that at
that-
this point.
yeah.
I want to stay much earlier
Okay.
and get a sense of how it was that you interacted with your non-Jewish neighbors and how.
Very good. But
It was all very good. Did you feel it?
And then the school was always good.
And you never felt there was any anti-Jewish
No.
sentiment?
No, not in Holland.
Never.
Not there. No.
Never in Holland.
No.
And this is in what years, roughly?
Well, I started to go to school when I was 6 or 7 years old, and in the.
So what dates,
The,
approximately?
well,
This was in the.
1920, 20, 21, 22, 19, 21, 22, and then later you go to a higher school, and that was 4 years, and 10 years later then I finished.
Okay. At this point, I'd like to ask a few questions about what your relationship was in the greater context of Ashkenazic versus Sephardic Judaism.
What is that?
Well, Sephardic Judaism is essentially Spanish derivative,
Yeah.
and that's much
Oh,
of
that
Holland.
People didn't even know where they came from.
Well, they didn't know where they came from. So how did you?
But because it started in 1400, 1500, people didn't pay any attention.
Did you speak
to
Yiddish?
that.
Did people speak Yiddish?
Some did and some didn't. I never spoke Yiddish.
You never spoke
No.
Yiddish.
Did anybody in your family?
No, they're all Dutch.
No one spoke
No,
Dutch.
because if you got Yiddish, the Yiddish-speaking people came from Germany.
That's right, and
And
they moved to
Poland.
Holland.
And it was in the late
Holland.
1800s that they came.
So, is any
and he-
members of your family from that
No.
immigration?
We all have from my families from the Spanish. From 1492 that they came there. Pons was my father's name and Fresco was my mother's name, and it is all Spanish.
All Spanish.
Yeah. That was
Uh-huh.
the only
So was your
Then
Hebrew
I got
school
married.
was your Hebrew school run by the Spanish descendants or the
No,
the recent?
it's all Dutch. It was all Dutch.
It was all Dutch.
Had nothing. But there was sometimes with the holidays there were Polish schools. Just for the holidays, Chashajon, Yom Kippur.
So you
and
went to Polish schools for them?
No, not me. The people who came from East Europe.
I see. So you went to the Spanish
Yeah.
descendants.
Yeah,
Can you?
we-
This might be a particular question, but
I
can you pronounce a bracha for me? Do you know how?
Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu v'mitzvotav v'tzion.
That's very.
That is a good one.
That's a Spanish
Yeah,
pronunciation.
that's right. And that's
Okay.
what we learned in school.
Mhm.
Boy, I remember that.
So you learned all that in school. So
Yeah.
okay. So it was distinctly a Spanish, but there were many Polish Jews in.
Oh, sure, but they came later than the Spanish
Right.
people.
Did they live together in the Jewish community?
Oh
Were they
yeah,
mixed?
it was in the
They spoke
neighborhood.
Spanish. They spoke
But they
Dutch.
had, but they had, oh sure they did,
Yeah.
but they had a different shoe.
But they had different shuls.
Yeah.
Okay. What was the proportion? Do you think?
Oh, I don't know. I really don't know. But it was a big Jewish community all over, but I don't know how much of us from the Spanish or from the Polish. I don't know. The Polish came in the late 18th.
My mother looks like she wants to ask a
Yeah,
question.
they won't say.
No, I simply remember that after the war, when of course there were very few Jews left, even at
Oh,
the Jewish holidays.
I'm talking about when I was a young girl.
I know.
Yes.
Even at the Jewish holidays, there was still a different service for what I think Mama was referring to as the Polish Jews, which, by the way, tended to be a lot more fun, as my recollection.
Which was more fun, the Polish service?
Polish one, because it was yes. Of course, maybe my recollection centers on Simchat Torah. But I remember that the one at the Spanish synagogue, which was a beautiful synagogue, there's a bima in the middle, by the way,
Mhm.
which I think is what is characteristic
Yeah.
in the Sephardic synagogues. That was a more formal procedure. Although I do recall that, like typical Orthodox synagogue, children were given free
You
rein.
recall this from after the war then?
Of course, my recollection.
That was
afterwards.
different.
Did you ever go to the? You never went to the Polish synagogues before the war.
I didn't know. We
Okay.
never did. The Dutch people never did.
So your father and your brothers went
Oh,
to.
everything was yeah. Was
Went
in
to.
the
Okay.
Irish war.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Good.
Okay. Etc. Okay. So I would like to at this point turn my attention to how it is that you met your husband and how it was that he came to
Oh my
Holland.
heavens! After First World War I, he came in 1920 as a child to my father's sister who had no children,
What's your father's sister's name?
Branka, and they had no children. And she did it for my brother, who had lunch at her house every day when he went to school, between morning and afternoon.
So your brother was who?
And he was Simon,
Simon.
and he was older than I was.
And how old was your brother at this age?
He was born May 1st, 1912.
So he wanted. So your
Tom.
Aunt Branca wanted someone to.
Yeah.
For him to play with when he came over
That's
for
right, when
lunch.
he came home. And he was there about 9 or 10 months, and then he went back, and he came from Poland. And,
So,
and he left,
he came
was
from-
leaving in Vienna.
So how is it that he managed to come to Holland?
Well, when he got older, he started to write to his...
Well, how did he come to
family.
Holland in the first place?
Well, that was an organization. And he wasn't the only one. There were many children from the East Europe, Jewish kids who were hungry and everything.
From Vienna, they were hungry?
Went through the war,
Mm-hmm.
World War I.
This is 1920.
1918 was the end, and he came in around 1920. And and there were a lot of boys and girls.
Mhm.
And I think they wanted a boy, and he was the last one.
So how old was he when he got there? When he came the first time?
He came about 1920, and he was born in 1910.
So he's 10 years old,
Around,
and he stayed 9-10 months.
yeah, and then he went back.
And what did he learn to speak Dutch when he was there?
No, I don't think so. But after that, later in the life of my aunt, and they started to write each other.
So he wrote to your Aunt Branca
Yeah, and
regularly from the time he was in.
yeah, and then he made a trip to go to Paris and foreign countries. And in that trip, he stopped for
How old was he then?
21, I think.
So 11 years later, he came back to
Yeah.
Holland. So it's already
Yeah,
1931.
that's right. That's the first time he came, and then
Had he already been to college? Did he go to college?
I don't know about that from when he did, but
Never.
and then he came to my aunt, and I was 17, he was 21, and we dated. He took
So
me out.
How much was he?
And then
Was he
he-
from a well-off family in Vienna? From a
No.
middle-class family?
No, his mother and father were separated, and he wasn't. But
Who were his parents?
and then well, the parents are not that important because nobody knew them.
Well, I remember the parents. His mother's name was Sabina Sprinzer.
Yeah, she went to Israel.
Wunder. Her maiden
Wunder,
name
yeah.
was Wunder, and evidently she had a brother who went to Toronto, as far as I recall, and had a sister who went to Israel and settled there and had 6
Lotte.
children.
Yeah.
I don't know what the sister's name was, but
Lotte.
that's the Gerstenhaber family in
But-
Israel. That's
That
my
was-
grandmother's sister, and they of course had many children all settled in Israel now. My father was one of 4. He was the oldest. My
One of
recollection
5.
is 5.
One of
My
5.
father was one of 5. Mother one of
My
4.
was no 5.
What were the
Who's
names?
fifth,
What
Mom?
were the names of his siblings?
My husband, Joseph, Franca, Esther.
No, that's your father. I'm
Oh.
talking about my father and
Oh.
mother. Your husband,
Yeah.
Abraham Zukerman, was the oldest in a family of 4.
Monia and
He had Lotte was next, then Nusha, and then Munya was the youngest.
And
And my
that's right.
recollection is that Munya was the only one born in Vienna. Everybody else was
Yeah.
born in Horodenka.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
So,
they-
so your father was born in Horodenka.
Horodenka
Yes,
in
Which is where?
1910 in Poland. I think Galicia. And may well be part of Russia now, I'm not sure. My recollection also is that he did not finish high school. That he went off to work as soon as he could.
In what business?
That he, in essence, managed to earn enough money to, I'm not sure about Lotte,
For
but
his-
certainly
for his
Nusha
mother.
ended up going through medical school, and Munya, I think, got an engineering degree.
So this is
So
his
he
sister
helped.
Nusha went
the
to
father
medical
and
school.
mother weren't. That's right.
So that's my recollection. I think,
That's
I don't
good.
know what he was doing when he went back to Holland when he was 21. Maybe Mama knows better, but I think he was working in factories.
He worked
ended
for
up
my
being a
father. He
manager.
worked for my father.
Ah, okay. So I see.
And then
He
we
arrived in Holland in 1931 when he was visiting,
Yeah.
and that's when he met you and you started
Yeah,
dating.
and we
When
started
did he?
dating.
He must have returned to Vienna at that
and
point.
then he was in Vienna. He wrote, and I wrote back, and then he decided to come back to Holland.
And what year?
He came, I think, in 37 or 38.
Ah, I see. So can you tell me what his reaction to Hitler's rise and your reaction to
Well,
Hitler's
he
rise in
came out of it.
1933?
And then he did, when he was in Holland in 1937,
Well, I'd like to go back a little earlier.
wait a minute, and he was there, and Hitler was already in Austria. He tried to get his mother to Holland, and he did. He got her out of it. And when he came on his own, without help,
So all his family in Austria
yeah,
escaped.
they wanted to escape. And he did, when he went to Germany, and he came close to the borderline from Holland, and he came over to Holland secretly, and they caught him and they sent him back.
Back.
The Dutch over
Who caught him?
the Dutch.
The Dutch border
people,
police?
Yeah, and they sent him back. And then he made a call. He called to Holland and he came in Limburg again. And then he was there. He called us. And then my husband went over there to Limburg. You remember that? And he came there, and then he took him over the
So
borderline.
your husband came to Holland in what year? 1937?
21 he was.
That's when he came to visit, but he went back to Vienna.
And then, yeah, and then he came.
And then how long was he in Vienna?
37.
So he was in
came to
Vienna for
Holland.
6 more years
Yeah,
until he came to Holland.
but we wrote each other.
You wrote each other.
I wrote in German.
So you spoke German to him, and he spoke.
Well,
You spoke
in the-
German to each
because-
other.
Yeah, because I learned it in school.
I see. So that was your language of communication was
But
German.
later he spoke Dutch.
So had he learned any Dutch at this point already?
No,
Can you tell me a little bit about how it was that did he talk about his life in Vienna between 1931 and 1937?
well, listen, I of course I knew his.
Let's continue. I'm very much interested in the 6 years between 1931 and 1937 when your husband-to-be left Holland and went back to Vienna until the time he returned. What was it that he was doing in Vienna between then? He was working.
Yeah, he
What
was,
was he-
whatever he could do, what he was. He was a bookkeeper. He was very good.
He was a bookkeeper, so he was an
And
accountant of
and
some
he
kind?
went even to he went to another state where I forgot which it was Hungary or Czechoslovakia. One of the
Hungary or Czechoslovakia?
one of
Yeah.
the other states near Vienna. He worked there, and then we were corresponding with each other.
Do you have those letters?
Yeah.
Did you save those?
No.
No.
And I might have it, not with what the war was coming,
Uh-huh.
of course not. But he decided to come to Holland, and he came back. And
Why did he decide to come to Holland?
Well, he wanted to, because
He wanted-
then when we started dating, I guess he was in love with me.
So how did he have any trouble getting to Holland?
No.
How come his brother?
His brother had trouble.
Why?
Because he came over the borderline, and he had a passport, my husband.
He had a
But
passport. How come?
For himself, but he got it because...
How did he get it?
Well, he went in Vienna, he got
He went
his
to
own-
the Dutch
Yeah, he
and
got
said they
his
was
own-
planning to marry you.
Oh, I don't know. No. I don't know about that. But he got his... For 6 months he got it.
He got a 6-month travel visa.
Travel visa, that he could stay in Holland. That I will tell you, when he was there for 6 months, and it was close to 6 months that he had to renew it, or
Was he
whatever.
married to you at that point?
No, and then we started to be married in May, only for the Dutch government.
Uh-huh.
But we didn't live together.
So you got
But
married in May.
he got his papers that he could stay in Holland.
I see. So he knew that he didn't want to go back to Vienna.
No.
Where was his family at that time?
His mother was still in Vienna.
His mother was still in
but
Vienna?
she came later, when in 38 she came to Holland.
Uh-huh.
And we weren't married yet.
Okay.
And then she got papers to go to Palestine, Israel.
She got papers from where?
I don't know, somebody got it, she had relatives there, and she got papers that she could go there.
So
and
his mother got papers to
and
go
she
to
left,
Palestine.
let me tell you, she left in August 39.
Uh-huh.
You remember that. And in September the war broke out. So
Okay,
she
so
just made it to May, and she had to take the boat. There were no airplanes.
So did he describe his life in Vienna between 1931 and 1937? It must have been.
We wrote each other, but I don't even remember that. He was, I don't know.
He never said anything about it.
Oh, sure, but I don't remember. That's not important.
Did he talk about Hitler and the Anschluss and?
You don't have to. We all talked about it till they came in 39, and Hitler came to Holland, and that was in 39.
Okay,
but
when Hitler came to Austria, and then
yeah,
he lived in Vienna during
he
Kristallnacht.
came to Austria in 1933.
That's right. He came in
That's
Austria in
right.
1933.
And-
So your husband
and
had tremendous experience with the
I'm
Nazis
sure
already.
he did. Sure he did. That's why he wanted to get out of it.
So what was his sense that?
His whole family got out of it. His mother, himself, his sister, and his brother.
And he never talked about any of the experiences.
Oh well, we know about it. Everybody talks about it, but I mean,
What happened to his father?
oh, they were separated. I think I don't know about his father. What really happened to
Do you
them?
know?
I think.
Yes, I do know, because I was told this in our last trip to Israel. Evidently, his father, I think maybe they got divorced. His
Yes,
father
they
also
were
got out.
divorced.
He went to Italy with his brother, the Zukermans, the one
Right.
that ran the restaurant. He went to
Yes.
Italy with his brother,
I didn't know that.
didn't like it there, didn't speak the language, decided to go back to Austria, to Vienna.
Oh really?
That's evidently the story, and of course he is
Yeah,
the one in the
I
family
didn't-
who did get killed in the concentration camps because he did not want to stay
Well,
as a
that was-
refugee,
he should have stayed, yeah, well-
in Italy. And that evidently is the story of what happened to him.
Who told you that story, Mom?
Samuel.
I
Samuel.
didn't know that.
I also understand that Papa, during the 30s, was working in various places throughout Europe as a factory foreman. I understand that didn't he work in some place in Yugoslavia, Mother?
Yeah.
Running a factory? Do you remember anything about
That's
that?
right. I got it. Yeah, I got that, but I don't remember that. Then he came in Holland in 37, I think.
Okay. So he came to Holland 37. You were married officially by the Dutch
In 39,
government.
39, in 39, not before.
No, but you
that.
got married officially by the Dutch government in 37 so
Yeah,
you could stay.
yeah,
And then you got married in 39
And in
officially.
between, he got his mother to Holland, and his brother came to Holland, and his brother, he got papers for to go to Israel.
Palestine.
Palestine.
And his mother got official papers to it. She got a boat. She went to Palestine too.
Because they considered themselves refugees and needed to, not Dutch citizens.
They
And
were
So-
welcome.
So how come you didn't go to Israel or to Palestine at that time also?
We didn't think about it. It was fine in Holland. There was nobody there. They started in 39 in Holland,
Mhm.
but not before that. And then it was the end. You couldn't go out of it.
So essentially from 1937 to 1939, you didn't live together in Holland. Where did your husband? Where did he live?
When he came, he was staying with my aunt and uncle because
This were Branca.
yeah, and that's where
This is where he used to live when he was
Yeah.
there 17 years earlier.
That's right. And we married in.
And then where did you live?
I lived still with my father and mother.
And when you got
And
married, where did you
we
live?
started a store
The two of you together started a store.
in Hoefkade. Right? Yeah, we started a store, a lingerie store, and then
A
we
what, a lingerie
a lingerie
Textile.
Textiles.
It
textile.
was
Yeah.
dry goods.
And then when we married, we moved in upstairs from the store. Where the store, the people who lived there was out. And we moved in there.
So you started the store
And
in
we
what year?
Stayed there. In what year? Well, the same year that we got the store. A year later, when we got married in 39.
So you basically started the store in 1938.
Yeah,
Who owned that store?
we did.
Who got you the capital to buy it?
But when we did, we started. It was an empty store. We started. But,
With what money did
how
you
many
start the
years?
store?
Oh, we got. No, my father must have given. I don't remember that. That I don't know.
But I thought after the war you bought it from the blocks.
Oh, that isn't, no, that was a different store. It was Clara's hot
But
store.
so after the war you
We
went
had
to a
our own
different
store.
store?
We had our own store. I wasn't.
Oh.
I must have pictures in the album where I stood in a white coat and behind. I know that. No, we had.
So
our,
you saw.
But when it was that the Germans came, we got a big thing. You've seen that picture. Here lives a postal watch or something
That
like
was
that.
after the war, that picture, Mother. That was not before the war.
Okay.
But we.
Did
Then
you?
we
Did your?
started again, yeah.
Did your husband speak Dutch at this point?
Well, no, but he learned it. Of course, he had to do
He
it.
was learning it at this
But he
time.
was German, of course, yeah.
So he spoke German. So he was.
I-
Did he speak Polish too? Speak Polish too?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe
Or
he did.
Yiddish?
Maybe Yiddish. I think he knew. Yeah, but I don't know. But how gets Polish? I didn't break.
Can you ask me?
Polish.
Can you tell me how religious he was?
No, not that religious.
So he was
but,
less religious than your family?
About the same kind. Did everything what you have to do when about holidays or whatever.
Which synagogue did you go to? Did he go to when he was in Holland? The Polish synagogue?
No,
He went to the
regular.
regular Dutch synagogue.
So what else do you want to know? You want to know everything? What else?
Absolutely.
And
everything.
that was as well. That was it. And
My father believed in the old-time religion.
And my
The
fa-
Orthodox religion, he didn't have to practice too much, but he was very observant about the fast
my
of the
father, you mean?
firstborn.
my father.
My father. I know
Yeah.
nothing about your
Oh.
father, Mother.
Yeah.
The fast of the firstborn, he religiously went to shul that day, so he didn't have to fast that day. Not that he fasted any other day, except Yom Kippur.
He did fast on Yom Kippur.
That day, yes, yes. That's,
And so, how well did he fit into your family, with your family?
Okay, that was fine, wonderful.
So, because remember, he had very little family at this point, except your family.
Yeah, he had nothing in Holland, his family.
Uh-huh.
But he made a family.
so when you lived there, Mother, on Friday nights, the family used to get together
Yeah, usually they
at
did.
your grandparents' house?
That's right.
Every Friday night you
Yeah.
guys get
They
together.
had 5 children, my grandparents, and there was always, sure,
This was your father's parents? Because
father's
your
side.
mother's parents had 9 children, didn't they?
Yeah, they had a lot of children, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah. Tante Betsy and me, 4, I think 8. I think
Eight
we're
children.
8. Let me,
Hmm.
the men again. Maurits, David, Eli, and Ari, 4. 4 men. 4 it
Four
was.
girls?
Yeah.
So, on Friday nights, how many people would be at the table?
I don't know what I'm always
Roughly.
eating all day, but you were always go visiting there and sitting. That was really a thing what everybody did Friday nights.
Friday night was family night.
Friday night was family night.
Yeah, totally different, but they weren't all that religious, but they went to shul.
Mm-hmm.
When it was, things, and there was always when you had a chasana, was always a nice thing going, once they got married.
Mm-hmm.
And it was always nice, yeah. My brother had a nice thing, and whatever I know, people, it was always nice. But it was only one kind of a shul. It was not a religious, overdone, it was a regular Orthodox shul.
Okay.
Later, after the war, you got all the different shuls.
Okay, so what was your reaction to Hitler's invasion of Holland?
Well, but everybody had a reaction. When he started in Holland, first he started in 1933 in Austria.
That's right.
So we felt fine, free. But then he came in 38, he made war, and in 39 it was Holland.
Mm-hmm.
And that was bad. But no, not the first year.
The first year was like what?
First 2 of you, nothing. The Germans for that, but there were no rules what they made. Then later they made rules against the Jews. You couldn't do this, you had to go inside before 8 o'clock.
And everybody knew
8
who
o'clock
Jews
in the
were.
morning you could go out from 8 to 8 and that was it. And we got stars to wear.
So you had to wear a star.
Oh sure.
From when did you get the star?
But then they start making all the rules.
And that was in
not right away.
1941?
Maybe 40, I don't know exactly.
1940,
the
not
date,
right away.
Because you had to have a star all over.
Did everyone in your family wear the star? Did anyone?
Oh, everybody had to wear it. Everybody
And
had
what-
to wear it. If you don't, boy, you got it. No, you
How
had
would
to.
you get it from who? 'Cause the Germans didn't know who was Jewish. The Dutch must have known who was Jewish.
Of course they did.
So then who told them?
And don't you think that in Holland people didn't were anti-Jewish too? Sure they were.
They were anti-Jewish. But
If they got a chance to join the Nazis, sure they did it. And that was what a go.
what was the reaction to a lot of your friends and schoolmates and the schools that let you off early on Fridays to go home?
Oh, I don't know. They didn't mind doing that, but some people have made a remark about it, that why could they get it and why not? There's always something saying against the Jews, no matter what. And it's not because they hate you, but they say, why don't we get it? Yeah, that's not important.
So you never felt, earlier you seemed to say
No,
that you felt very at home in Holland, and now,
Oh, sure, because that's the way we were growing when we went to school, and it was from 9 till 12, and from 2 to 4. And the Fridays, Shabbos started about 4 or 5 o'clock. We could leave at 3 o'clock.
you could leave at 3. So you
I
never,
don't know if that still exists. I don't think so.
Mother, I remember that when I went to school in Holland after the war, that they had school on Saturday morning, and we never went.
No, I
You
know.
kept us
That's
home.
right.
I don't remember about Friday afternoon.
I know, but
Wednesday
that was the
afternoon
same
used to
thing.
be off,
They had to have a day on
And
Saturday.
we
In
never
my time
went.
too, we didn't have to.
and I don't
It
remember
was a
that.
very good. Holland was always very good country for the Jews.
so how does
Excellent.
the fact that you claim that Holland was a great country for the Jews fit into the fact that they did nothing to stop the Germans from?
Oh, you listen. The Germans came in with what do you? They come over the borderlines and had the war, and it was only a 5-day war because the Germans made it.
Mhm.
And then you got all the Nazis who make the rules.
But they didn't know who the Jews were, the Nazis.
But you know what it was?
The
When,
Dutch
you know
knew.
when they came to take us out of the house, they came on a Thursday night at 11 o'clock, and we were thinking that they would come. It was in 43. They came with a Nazi and a police officer, a Dutchman, and they
So the
had to
Dutch
do
man
that.
came.
From the police. The Nazis were the rules. They were the rules. They said you
So
what to
between
do.
1941 and 1943, what did you do to make you still own the store and it was
We had
kept
to
open?
store till I think to 42,
And 42, what happened?
and then we had to get out of it.
They made you sell the store?
I don't even know. No, maybe we had to finish it.
Finish it how?
And, but then in 43 we were taken away.
But how did you finish the store?
Somebody else took it over.
Did they make you take
Did
you?
they buy it from
I
you?
think that they have to buy. I don't know. I don't even realize it exactly what. it
You
was.
don't remember that
But we-
if they took
but-
it from you, if they bought it
Oh
from
no,
you?
no, they didn't. The people didn't take it. I think we gave it up. I have no idea what it was. It was a good store. We were selling it. When in 40, but the Jews were throwing out of it.
Did you get it back after the war?
Yeah.
You got the store back after
Yeah.
the war?
And the people who were in there didn't like it, and they said about the joke.
Yeah. Oh, they don't want to put the
Yeah,
sign on the store?
then we took it over.
But that's the store that I remember, isn't it?
Yeah, sure. You must be from the Hoefkade.
Yes, of
Yeah,
course I
sure, the
remember
same
that
store.
store. But I thought that belonged to the blocks.
No, no, no,
Where
no,
did I
no,
get
no.
that?
The block is on the Stilleveerkade, on the corner. Where they was, where they had the gross, where they had not a retail, and
Wholesale.
wholesale store there.
Hmm.
And that was.
Did you buy that
And later,
store?
and later he did. Later we did. Clara was the boss there.
Yeah.
Remember, because her grandfather owned it, and then Clara was the boss, and then Clara was not that good in it. Then my husband helped her out, and was the main man there. And then when she married, then she went to, and she went away. He became the boss. But,
So you own two stores?
Yeah. No, the Hoefkade we didn't have anymore. We moved in on Stilleveerkade.
Okay, so at this point you had a store.
What about Paviljoensgracht?
But that's what Clara used to be. But she
Oh.
married, and she went with her husband.
Oh, okay.
As a cousin, he went to
Okay, I don't
No.
remember the other
No.
store.
So who was her husband?
Max Houwen. You know.
Right.
She went with him, and then we had the store. Or we bought the store. Sure. And he was the boss. He was a good boss. But when Clara was there, he was there already working for her and did everything. And then when she said she was, and Esther was in the concentration camp when she came back.
Okay, I see. So at this point, where was most of your family in 1942?
My mother and father were taken away in 1942.
In what year? In 1942 by
42 in September.
By
And
who?
my brother the same
Germans?
time. And I don't know, never heard it anymore. They went straight to the gas chambers
they were taken away.
by the Germans.
They came in the middle of the night. Do you know? And you hear
Well,
anything?
late at night, not maybe sometime, but late in the evening, and there was always a Nazi and a policeman there, and you had no chance. And they did it with all the Jews. But we stayed a little longer because my
How come?
husband was working for the Germans.
He was working for the Germans.
Because he did well. He had a bicycle with a thing on it that he could. We couldn't do anything. We had a star.
Right.
I about think about 10 people were working for him, but that's because they were Jews. They took them. They had to work for them.
Right. And what did they do? What did he do?
Well, working for the Germans with a bicycle. You know how do you call it, a bicycle?
Messenger? Was he a messenger?
And working there, I don't know, but when you had to go all the way to Scheveningen
How far
on a
is Scheveningen?
bicycle. No, it was half an hour. And but then at the end, I mean, we were taken. A lot of people were taken away in December 42.
But you were never taken out of your house.
And
This was still the house, the attic of the store?
Till they came to out in 43, and then we went out. And I don't know what happened to the store. And when we came back in 45, the whole neighborhood didn't exist anymore. No house. No. Next to us was a church that came out on another street, and the wall was still there, but the houses all was there where we lived was all taken away.
It was all bombed.
Yeah.
Bombed during the war.
They did it. The Germans took it out. I don't think it was bombed, but it was
The
just
Germans destroyed
the Jews had to go out of there, and the Germans, I mean, they came
And the
back
Germans
in
destroyed
45. 45, the houses weren't there anymore. So, but whatever they did.
So you lived over the store. In the 42, they took away the store, and your husband became a messenger. Was forced to work as a messenger. Was he a messenger because he spoke German?
Yeah, of course.
Yes, he could communicate with the Germans easily.
Sure.
Okay. How is it that this happened?
And under the soldiers, there was one good soldier to him, and he said, if everything happened, you have to do such and so and so. And he
So
said,
which soldier was this?
Don't go to Auschwitz.
Hold on a second.
Go to Bergen-Belsen.
Did he know any of these soldiers?
No, but he got to know him because he
know
was
them.
working for them.
Right.
And
These were soldiers, not members of the SS.
But some were Nazis and some were not Nazis, you know.
Uh-huh.
And one gave him a little advice because we didn't know.
I thought that
what
was in
it
Westerbork
Yeah.
that he got the advice, not in the Hague.
Westerbork, yeah.
So you're still in The Hague.
But the Germans were there too. And he was working there. That's right. He came in Westerbork in September.
Do you have any idea what his job was when he was doing the messenger?
What for job?
When he was a messenger on the bicycle?
What the Germans told him to do was bring him from one thing to another thing on a bicycle, you know, with a thing on it.
Did you witness any acts of brutality towards Jews at this point?
No.
While you were still in
I
Holland?
have seen it in my street. It was even before that a Jew I knew was walking there, and there was a Nazi there, not a German, the Dutch Nazi.
A Dutch Nazi.
Of course, the Nazi, that's right, he became a Nazi.
Right.
And he wasn't fighting with him, and we could watch him from the house.
And what happened?
I don't know. He didn't kill him, he was just, I don't
They were
know.
just beating him up?
They felt that they could do all those things, the Germans.
So you didn't see...
And the Dutch Nazis did it too.
What did they do exactly?
Well, fighting is kind of...
Did you see anyone get killed
No, I've never seen that.
on the street?
They got killed anyway, but I've never seen that. No,
Not on the streets of... So at this point you never felt that your
That
life
was
was in
about
danger?
42.
When did you leave The Hague?
My family left in 42, but we left in September 43.
So this is...
To Westerbork,
Why did it take so long before you left?
because he worked for the Germans.
So
Were you the last...
And then it was then all of them. Max Harman was in his same thing what he was doing, working for the Germans. So that's where I got to know.
So can you tell me at this point which of your family had left and who?
All of them in 42. All of them in 42.
All of them in 42. What month in 42?
September, most of it.
September. So a German and a policeman, a Dutch policeman came to the door of each of their houses.
Evening at night, but a lot of them were already prepared.
Did they take their...
They're already packed.
They were told to pack. Did they have any idea where they were going?
We did the same thing. We were packed too.
Did they have any idea where they were going?
No.
Was anyone have any clue where they were going?
Nobody knew that there were gas chambers. No, they never said that.
Did you have any access to any of the media?
The media didn't say anything. What is the media? You think the media
Talk about the war?
could say anything against the Nazis when the Nazis are in Holland?
No, of course not.
Sure, you can't.
So nobody spoke. You never got any
didn't
mail
know.
from...
And we didn't anything. We didn't know there were... Nobody knew that there were
So
gas
in
chambers.
1942, when most of your family was
They said
transported...
it was, if they took us, that you will go and work for us. But nobody did that because there was the gas chambers were there. But nobody knew. You have seen pictures about the thing from the Nazis.
Of course, so you believe this.
I'm asking you because I didn't know. I didn't see it. Now you still see it in the movies they saw it.
Why do you think your
Arbeid macht,
family...
what is it? Arbeid macht is...
Right.
Macht frei.
Why do you
Macht
think
is
your
free.
family went to Auschwitz? Because I always thought it was Buchenwald.
No. Auschwitz.
How do you know?
Gas chambers.
Well, Buchenwald had gas chambers too. How
But
do you know?
Buchenwald was still different because Auschwitz was there before Buchenwald.
But how do you know that it was Auschwitz? Did you get...
They all know. We did. Of course we don't get it, but we knew that the whole section went. It was Auschwitz.
So in 1942, you didn't know anything.
But what is the difference?
This was about a year. Grandma, there was about a year between when you left and when the rest of your family left.
Because
You never heard from them in that entire year.
Of course not.
And you didn't. What did you think?
They didn't go anywhere. They were in the car. They went in the train in the wagons.
Mhm.
You know, don't have seats. We didn't have that either when we were taken in 43. We got the what do you call those things? The
Cattle train.
And talk about between the Germans had already arrived, and I want you to tell me a little bit about the birth of your first daughter.
Well, I was pregnant and she...
In what year?
In 43.
No, your first daughter.
Oh, you were... Yeah, she was born in January 41.
41, and you took her to a regular hospital?
Yeah. I was in record for 2 weeks. That's what it took when you had wave 2. Now it is a couple of days, nothing.
You were in the hospital for 2 weeks.
So she was about 2.5 when Dodie was born.
So 2.5 years later,
I had my other daughter.
you had your other daughter, and at this point...
In 41,
Mm-hmm.
in June, that's her birthday, 41.
43.
43. She was 43, of course. And no doctor,
Mm-hmm.
because nobody was supposed to go to the Jewish people in the house. So when I got the pain that it was an evening, a voetvrouw, how do you call it?
A midwife.
A midwife that was able to come. No
A
doctor.
Jewish midwife.
Yeah, and no, that's right, all
Mhm.
Jewish. And then in the morning, after 8 o'clock, I got a Jewish doctor, was a woman too. And everything was fine, it was right away up, I had no choice. And everything was okay. But that's what, every Jewish, no Christian doctor or Christian, nothing, everything had...
Did my father go out at night to get the midwife?
I don't know how he did, I think he must have.
That was against the rules.
Yeah, I think, well, I don't know, but he came.
Did he ever go out at night against the rules, or did he do
No,
things against
no,
the rules in general?
You couldn't do that. You couldn't. I don't know. I think somebody got them food for him. One of the neighbors might have done it too, because the neighbors were nice.
Were they
Uganda.
non-Jewish neighbors?
Oh, sure.
Uh-huh.
Oh, sure. Listen, they were anti-German too.
Mm-hmm.
So, but, and then I got a food for her. She came, and I fed her. And then 3 months later, we were taken out of the house.
You were 3 months later. You were taken out of the house.
Did you take anything with you?
In September, well, whatever, we have had suitcases, and then we went to Westerbork. We were taken in regular trains, beautiful train to Westerbork.
You were taken in regular trains with all your stuff.
Yeah, all the Jews, what they picked up out of the houses. And in Westerbork, we came there in September.
How long was the trip to Westermore?
Almost maybe 3-4 days.
No, Mother, Westwork is in Holland.
No, yeah, in Holland, in
Holland.
Friesland.
Right, it's
But
maybe
it-
an hour or two.
No, more than that.
From The Hague to Westwork is how many hours on the train? Couple of
Yeah,
hours.
but the train stopped at, I don't know,
Okay.
maybe not.
And how long did you stay in Westerbork?
We stayed from Westerbork till February.
Okay.
In February 44,
So you were. Where did you stay when you were in Westermore?
in Westerbork,
Yeah.
we had barracks, I mean,
Barracks.
1 and 2, 1 bed and 2 bed on top.
But the family was together?
Yeah.
And
But
how
the
many-
men had different, the
Men were in
had the
different
chil-
barracks.
The women had the children and the men had
This
different.
is in Westerbork now, not in
Westerbork.
Bergen-Belsen.
Yeah, but it was
Now,
still
at
the
this
same.
point, did you know about the gas chambers?
No.
We're now at
Now,
44.
Can you tell me a little bit about, this is now, it's between September and February of 1943, 1944. What did you eat daily?
Well, they gave us food.
What kind of food?
Oh God, I don't.
Was it enough food?
Well, listen, I don't. You went with your board and you had to the big things in it. You got soup once or twice a week, and vegetables and some pieces of meat. Not that much, and we got bread for say we got a piece of bread for the whole week per person. And you had to make, that's it. A lot of people died. A lot of people
In
got sick.
Westerbork?
In Westerbork,
Mother?
people
But
died?
the food was not that high.
Did a lot
either.
of people die in Westerbork?
Well, some did, sure.
Sure, but
Sure. Because it was, nourishment was not.
Now, how did they
not
treat you in every day? Were the Nazis ran the Westerbork camp? Right?
who ran Westerbork? Was it the Dutch or was it the
It
Germans?
started, I think, it started with the Dutch, but I'm not so sure anymore. I don't even remember. But the Nazis came there in too, and if there was a Nazis, the people who were there were, even though some Dutch were Nazis too against the Jews, and it was all that we got to train and we had
Did
to go.
where were all your belongings at this point?
I don't know.
They were
They
taken.
took
When you
it,
got to
whatever.
Westerbork, they were taken. Did you stay?
Not
Did you,
Westerbork, they took what in the house. They took everything.
oh, they
what
took all
was
your
in
stuff
the
at that
house.
point. So when you got on the
The
train,
suitcases
the
that you had
suitcase.
with you to
Yeah, no,
Westerbork.
that was.
What happened to those were stayed
Oh,
with
yeah.
you in Westerbork?
Yeah,
Those
but
were
the
stayed.
house, the
so when you were in Westerbork
The
in the
best.
barracks, you had all your stuff.
yeah, but I mean, when we left our house, what was in the house, that was for them.
Sure. So the stuff that you had packed.
But the
You
only
had
thing
with
we
you.
could take, what you could carry.
Right.
A rucksack, right? That you could carry.
What's a rook?
A
Think what you
knapsack.
can on your shoulders, you know, and for your
You didn't have a suitcase that you can hold.
Oh, the
How can-
suitcases.
Yes, but
suitcases.
we had 2 children,
You had
had to
2
carry the children too.
So what did you take with you? You had clothes.
Not that much, but we
Did
could
you have
carry.
food? Did you have valuables? Did you have money, jewelry? Nothing.
But
You had nothing
I had some
valuable.
jewelry what I gave some people to take care of me. And when I came back, I got some back.
So you gave away some.
And it were people who we had a store, and Christian people,
Uh-huh.
and they were very nice. And when we came back, whatever they had, where else did I get it? They were very nice. I had another one, it was a neighbor where I lived, and she had something too for us. She said, listen, I was hungry, we didn't have time, we had to sell it, and we got it. What do you do? Listen, you save your life,
Okay.
and that was more worse than
All right. So
anything
you
else.
didn't have, when you went to Westerbork, you didn't have very much belongings. Did other people have more stuff?
Only what you could carry.
What did they take?
Who?
Did people bargain for food? Did they buy
Oh,
stuff?
some-
Was there a
the
black
people,
market?
The people who work outside the camp
Yes.
could buy things for cigarettes.
For
And
cigarettes.
they came with cigarettes,
Did you
whatever
smoke?
it is.
What
but
did,
the-
so what did your husband? Where was your husband at this point? He was working in Westerbork.
Oh yeah, he worked there.
Where did he
too.
work? Doing what?
But they go out of this thing, and they had whatever the Germans told them what to do, heavy, and the land, I don't know, everything. They had to do it. And they started at 7 o'clock, and you had to stay up hell in the morning, and you know what that is?
No.
Opening an open piece of land. They said, go and stand there, they let you stand there for hours in the cold
you
weather.
there? You and your children?
No, the men
Just
who
the
had
men.
to go to work.
And you could watch
And
this?
the women work too. Women who had no children could work too, because if you have children under 4 years old, you didn't have to work.
So you didn't have to work. You just
No,
took care of.
I never
And
worked.
Nusha was how old?
Two and a half, about.
And so she wandered around by
And only
herself.
was 3 months.
Did she wander around by herself?
No, well, we were in the back with only women.
Uh-huh.
And then you just sleep something high up.
But couldn't she go around and play or?
Oh yeah, well, in the back.
Uh-huh. She never went outside the barrack.
You had to watch your children. Are you kidding? Sure. The Germans, they didn't do it. Well, listen, that's what it was. The worst part is when you go to Germany and you go in the gas chambers.
Everybody here was Dutch in the camp in Westerbork?
In Westerbork, yeah. Well, I think so, because I don't know, sometimes it's out of a different thing, I don't know.
Was everybody Jewish in the camp?
Oh, sure.
In your barracks? In
Oh,
the
sure,
camp in
sure.
general, were there other people who weren't Jewish?
No.
So Westerbork was entirely Jewish?
They had some barracks where they took women in, and I don't know why, there were a lot of women in, but I don't know why they took them, but they from different nationalities.
There were women who were not Jewish.
And they were not Jewish.
So there were women in the camp who weren't Jewish.
But not in Westerbork, they had a different camp for them. And some other countries had it too, but they came out later in Auschwitz too. But they were not Jewish. They took non-Jewish women in too.
So but they weren't with you in the
I
barracks?
don't know, but no.
So how did you meet them?
We heard about it.
Or you heard about them?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Because we were in America. And
Okay, so why did they send you to Auschwitz?
Now, hold on.
We didn't.
But when you left it, why were they? How were people sent out of
But
Westerbork.
yeah, people were continually leaving
Well,
Westerbork.
we didn't know where we were going. We
But
didn't
were
know
people, there were
anything
new
about
people coming in and people were leaving continuously from Westerbork,
But
right?
we didn't know who. That what they took us all. We didn't know there was an house or
Were there
anything.
lines?
They told you go to somewhere else and where you can work and no, we didn't know. So we came there and there was Auschwitz and we couldn't come to Auschwitz, but we were lucky to go to.
How come
Did
Because
you have any-
let me tell you, because your father was working.
Working for the Germans. But of course,
And-
everybody
and
was
he
working.
told them, if you have a chance, take Westerbork.
Not Westerbork,
But-
Bergen-Belsen.
and then from in Westerbork he told, try to get if you can Bergen-Belsen if you have a choice.
Did you have a choice?
I guess we came there, I don't know, he did.
When you
Because he
left?
spoke German and he could talk to German Nazis.
Yes.
And he talked to him and we
What I
came,
understand is that the trains came in and the
Train was 3
and the
weeks.
Nazis said to my father, don't get on that train.
Why?
Get on another train, because obviously they knew there were,
That
that
was
there were
going to Auschwitz.
extermination camps.
So why did
because he
you have a
spoke German,
choice?
Because he spoke German.
Since when did Nazis ever give anybody a choice?
Well, I'm not saying that he was a real Nazi, he was a German. And he worked for the Nazis.
So when you were called to leave, weren't you just told where to go?
No, we didn't know.
But you were
But when we came in Westerbork, that is Dutch,
right.
and it was in Friesland, and that's where we stayed there for a couple of weeks.
Couple
we
of
came
months.
in September,
A month.
and we left in
February.
February.
So you stayed there for 5 months.
And in that February, in that time, he got to know that you could take this one or that one, or whatever you have a chance. If you have a chance, take Bergen-Belsen.
So how did he get the chance? You don't know how to
Because
answer.
of the people there who made the choice, and he spoke German with them. I don't know.
Didn't Germans make lists to decide where each
I don't
individual
know
was
to
going?
make this. I don't know. Never asked him.
You never asked him.
You're kidding. You have nothing to say when you're there. You're a prisoner.
Uh-huh.
But we made it. Listen, a lot of them went to Auschwitz and didn't know that there were gas chambers there. Nobody knew that.
Okay.
That came out later.
All right, well, we're going to stop now.
Yeah.